what you did there, infected GG. Alright, okay, so Axe-Shield-Greatsword. I will quick switch to it, and I will go over why it's a good idea to use it. Or why warriors use it, I should say. What the good ideas are. Okay. This is for adult primarily, but anyone who wants to know. Okay, so put that on. Nice with the song. So what you want to do? Right now in World v World, it's kind of the same way in PvP, but mostly in World v World. If you are roaming, if you're a roaming warrior, you basically want to go for heavy spike damage. You want to kill your targets very quickly because otherwise they will kill you very quickly and you die. You're not roaming at that point. So what the build is based around is around building a lot of might and just getting big damage off. Mainly with Eviscerate, which is your burst skill on the axe. Oh, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Apparently the Z key goes back in Lamp. Anyway, also Arcane Slice is another good option. Both of your burst skills are very good ways of dealing a lot of damage in very short spans of time. Also, the reason you take Shield is because you got a nice stun, which you can line up your Eviscerates with, or just do more Axe autos. These hurt, by the way. Axe in general hurts a lot. The auto hurts, like, even more so, though. Auto hurts especially, I should say. But Shield Bash is good for closing gaps and setting up combos. It also breaks Immobilize with this build. Shield Stance, this is necessary for keeping yourself alive. Or I should say it helps a lot. And one of your traits helps with that as well. That's why you see Action Great and Shield, because you get nice personal defenses, nice active defenses, and a lot of damage. And then Greatsword is taken because of mobility and damage. More so the mobility than the damage. But the damage is definitely there. That's why you have those two combos. You have a lot of mobility with the 3 and the 5 on your Greatsword, and then you have a lot of damage from the 2, the burst, and the damage from the axe. And then the shield is nice for personal defense. Typically, for your utilities, you want to take Healing Signet because it's just a nice heal, and you can focus on your offensive damage combos and whatnot because you have that passive healing that helps you sustain yourself in a fight a bit more. And then the 3 stances help you get your bursts off because they provide immunities to the 3 things that will otherwise stop you, be it Condi, flat damage, or power damage, or CC, sorry. And then your elite slot, you can take 1 or 2 things. You can either take Rampage for big bursts of damage and CC and catching people. The only problem with Rampage is it's incredibly predictable. People have seen this thing 1,000 times and know what to. Any person worth their salt is going to know what to do against Rampage. I'll catch up in chat after I'm done explaining this. So you can either take Rampage, which is very powerful, but it's very predictable, so you gotta weigh that cost. Alternatively, you can take Signet of Rage, which it's not as impactful as Rampage. However, it's not predictable either. It's just boons. It's just buffs, which that can be countered by Boon Strip, but not everything you're gonna be fighting has Boon Strip. So, do you want predictable with higher impact, or do you want less impact but not predictable, or not as counterable, I should say. So those are your utilities. For your traits, as you can see here, Restorative Strength, it's kind of just there in case you need to use Heal Stick to stop Condis, because you get resistance on this thing, 6 seconds. If you want to take it, go for that. You can take Death from Above as well, because you're in World to World and there's a lot of cliffs. That, for the build, if you're not using Rampage, you basically want to use one of these 2. But if you are using Rampage, you definitely want to take the Performance, which is the 3rd option, reduces the cooldown, and increases the damage. That's what you do with those. For your Mastery, you want to take Force of Greatsword because this increases the damage flat. It reduces the cooldown of your skills, which you're going to be using a lot, and gives you Might whenever you crit with it. Which, since this is a Berserker build, you're going to be critting a lot. And the Might also ties in with another Aspirates build, which I'll go over in a little bit. So that's why I take Force of Greatsword. And then Berserker's Power adds a damage buff. Why not? It's a lot of damage. It's a big damage buff for 10 seconds. And you're using your burst skills all the time. So, boom. Alternatively, if you really want to take Axe Mastery, but I heavily advise Berserker's Power. Defense, you want to take Shield Master because it reduces cooldowns, gives you might when you block and reflects missiles. If you're taking a shield, you pretty much always want to take Shield Master. It just makes the shield better. Endure Pain, you want to take Defy Pain because this gives you double Endure Pain, which will save your ass so many times. And it's kind of necessary for warriors right now because we take so much spike damage as it is, and we drop down to that threshold a lot very quickly. So that's why you take Defy Pain. You can take Armored Attack if you don't feel you need it. That's just a flat damage boost, but I would say take Defy Pain just because we get spiked so easily. Noah, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Again, I'll catch up with chat after I'm done explaining this. I want to get through this in one shot. And then for your Grandmaster, for this build, you can take one of two things. I personally prefer Last Stand. This is an auto proc of Balance Stance, which gives you stability, protects you against CC. It also gives you Vigor whenever you use any of your stances, which you have 3 of. So that's a lot of Vigor, which allows you to dodge more. You are Class C with this build, so you want to be able to dodge a lot. And it also increases the duration, which is nice, because that's higher uptime on your invulns. If you want, you can take Cleansing Ire if you feel like you're taking a lot of, if you're going to be dealing with a lot of conditioned pressure. However, because of this build being full melee, it's very easy to be shut down by blinds. So Cleansing Ire, first off, Cleansing Ire will not go off if you do not hit your target. So that means if you A, miss with it, or B, get blinded and then miss with it because of the blind, even if you would otherwise hit, you're not going to get Cleansing Ire. So it's not as reliable with an axe and a greatsword as it is with, say, a longbow. So I prefer Balance Stance, but you'll see warriors running Cleansing Ire as well. If you want, you have 2 stun breaks, so you can run Rousing Resilience, so that's an option as well. It's healing, it's toughness. It's up to you. This will work better with Berserker than it will with this build, but it's still a viable choice. And then Discipline, main reason you're taking Discipline is for fast hands, for fast swapping, because you need it. But also there are other nice perks. Warrior Sprint, you want to take because it gives your Shield Bash, your Eviscerate, your Rush, and your Whirlwind Attack. They all gain the ability to break Immobilize, and Immobilize is a killer for this build. If you get Immobilized, you're going to be hurting. You want to be able to dodge things. You want to be able to reposition yourself as much as possible, or you want to be able to stick to your targets. And if you're immobilized, none of that's going to happen. So, and on top of that, you get 25% movement speed at all times, so it's a nice thing to have. Rouse Recovery, you remove a condition whenever you swap weapons. You're swapping almost every 5 seconds, so that kind of helps mitigate Cleansing Ire. If you want, you can take Destruction and Power for more damage, but this is a situation where I highly advise Rouse Recovery because it's nice for condition removal. And then finally, you can take either Heightened Focus. This gets you quickness when your target reaches half health or below on a 15-second cooldown, which means you can burst people faster and they're not expecting it. It turns your slow attacks into very fast attacks, and people can't deal with that as easily. However, drawback to this, it will fuck over a lot of your movement skills. Bean, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. What I mean by that is your travel distance with a lot of your mobility skills is halved because their animations are halved because of the, or I shouldn't say halved, but increased. Quickness increases the animation of all of the animation speed of all your skills, thereby increasing their effects, the speed of those effects. However, that also means that the animations for traveling are also shortened, which means you don't fly as far with Eviscerate, you don't run as far with Whirlwind Attack or Rush, so take that in consideration. The alternative to this is Burst Mastery. This basically just makes so you have more adrenaline. Like you get your adrenaline refunded after you use a burst skill when you hit with it, and it just makes your burst skills deal more damage. Pick and choose. I prefer Heightened Focus because it takes people by surprise. Also, another thing to consider, I didn't actually mention these, but the minors in all 3 of these lines are very nice, except for things like Thick Skin. Reckless Dodge is a very nice tool for more damage, because whenever you, at the end of every dodge, you do an unblockable high damage attack that can crit for a lot of damage, so it just adds more pressure. This, building momentum, it means whenever you land a burst skill, you get some dodge back, which is, again, very important for this build. I know I have a lot of chat to catch up on. I want to finish this. Stick and move, you're going to be dodging a lot, so you're going to have this, it's a 10% damage boost all the time. It's basically like having Stage 1 Berserker's power up all the time. Defense, we can ignore Thick Skin because it sucks. You're not going to be at 90% or higher health very long at all. So it's basically toughness that's not there half the time. or 90% of the time. Adrenal Health is one of the big reasons to take this, because it gives you passive healing on top of your heal sig. Even a Berserker build, it's still pretty damn nice. And then Spiked Armor, Retail, it's kind of just free Retail and Toughness. Whenever you block or you're struck by a crit, you get Retail. Discipline probably has the best minors of all. Well, Strength and Discipline have the best minors. Other than Fast Hands, Versatile Rage and Versatile Power, these give you benefits whenever you swap weapons. You're gonna get Adrenaline when you swap weapons, which you're doing a lot. That's half a bar. That's half a bar of Adrenaline when you swap. And then Versatile Power gives you 2 mites for 14 seconds whenever you swap. Ignore the burst skills recharge thing. That's just space line basically. But you're effectively getting like 4 stacks of might at all times because of this trait. Because you're swapping roughly every 5. It has... You almost have 6 most of the time because of this thing. If you're swapping exactly on, which you won't be doing all the time, but most of the time, you'll have at least 4 stacks and sometimes 6. And then for the gear, again, I'll catch up with chat after I finish this. The gear, you want to be running either Hullbreak or Strength Runes. This is where all the might stuff comes into play. Having things like I should probably preface, Hullbreak and Strength both give you extra might duration and will give you, in the case of Hullbreak, kind of duration reduction, or in the case of Strength, more damage. They both give you power. It's a glassy build designed to kill people quickly, so having all that extra might stuff definitely helps. Plus, having these sets builds on Versatile Power, it builds on Restorative Strength if you have to use your your heal sig, it builds on Signature Rage, it builds on Axe-Shield-Greatsword, it builds on Shield Mask, it builds on a lot of stuff, so it's just good to have that might synergy. And then, as far as the stats go, full Berserker, you can use Valkyrie if you want, but I highly recommend Berserker. Your weapons, I just realized I've been running around with Valkyrie weapons too. I'll keep them. Actually, I'm gonna switch this to back to Berserker. Yeah, that's back to Berserker. For your sigils, you want... I like Air and Hydromancy, Air for the spike. I might change that to Blood. But Air for the spike and Hydromancy for A, more spiking, B, chill, and C, if you're blinded when you swap to your Greatsword, that AoE chill, instead of hitting, it'll clear that blind. You don't get the burst, but it clears the blind for you, and that's fantastic. Alternatively, if you have Brawler's Recovery and blind is the only thing on you, Brawler's Recovery will clear it, and then you'll get the burst anyway. You'll get the burst damage, because Sigil of Hydromancy scales really well with power. It scales really well with the power stat, so that means you can get like 3-4k Hydromancy crits. It's really nice for more pressure. And then your X, I take Strength because it synergizes with all the other shit that I have that I'm getting might from. You can also take things like Rage, you can take things like Intelligence. You got a lot of options, but I take Strength for that, and then I take Energy for the shield for more dodge. You can mix those around all you want, but that's what I have. Hopefully, that explains why a lot of people take this synergy of traits. Why it's a popular build. Now I'm going to catch up